Before we begin, please make sure your power adapter is plugged into both an outlet and the back of your camera. After a few moments, your ProHD will begin to rotate as it initializes. Once that's done, watch and make sure the LED on the back of the camera starts to blink green, which means it's ready to be added to the app. Here, we've opened up the App Store. Tap Search, type Amcrest, and download the Amcrest View Lite app. Once it's done, tap Open. You can swipe the first screen out of the way after you've read it. This message just reminds you to keep your firmware up to date. On the main live preview screen, tap the top right icon to get to the device list screen. Then tap the plus sign to add device. Choose the Wi-Fi configuration option. On this screen, you name your camera. It can be anything you want. The idea here is to name your camera something that will help you remember and identify it easily. Next, we want to scan the QR code on the bottom of the camera. Tap the QR code icon in the SN field and make sure the QR code on the sticker shows clearly on the screen. It will exit automatically when it's scanned. You'll see that the serial number pops up here. Make sure that your username and your password are filled in correctly. Then tap Next. Here you'll see your SSID, which should be the Wi-Fi network that your phone is connected to. Enter your password and then tap Next. Give it just a few moments while it connects. The whole point of this amazing plug-and-play method is that not only do you get your ProHD working on your phone in no time at all, but it also adds your camera to your Wi-Fi without needing to use an Ethernet cable or manually configuring Wi-Fi from the user interface login. Once it's added, you can tap Start Live Preview. This will take you to a prompt to change your default password. It is very, very important that you change your default password to your own custom password. Otherwise, you're vulnerable to attacks or unauthorized access through the internet. You will have to change your password here before being able to move on. For now, we're just entering admin1, but we recommend a more advanced password. Go ahead and confirm that same password. Once you're done, press OK. Give your phone a few moments to connect to your camera and pull up the live feed. How fast it connects depends on your network speed. As soon as it comes through, you'll see that it pops in as the top left box of your 4-channel view. Go ahead and double tap it to make it bigger. Now you can use two-way audio, pan, tilt, or zoom, and a lot more. That's all there is to it. Next, we're going to cover how to access the main built-in interface. This is where you can access every setting and function the ProHD is capable of, and is a great place to be very familiar with if you want to make the most of this feature-rich device. If your camera is already set up on Wi-Fi, we can now move on to the next step. Otherwise, please connect an Ethernet cable to the back of your camera, and I will show you how to set it up to your Wi-Fi later on through the interface. The first and most important thing to cover is the Amcrest IP Config tool. This is what allows you to quickly locate and access your camera's admin interface. Using the CD that comes with your ProHD, you can install it directly onto your computer by double-clicking this setup icon. Alternatively, if you don't want to use your CD or don't have access to it, you can just launch into a browser and go to amcrest.com/support. Right there you should see the link to download IP config software. You can save it to your computer or run it directly. Or you can go to amcrest.com and from the home page choose the IP camera section. Choose the listing for the ProHD, scroll down to Documentation, and click here to save it to your computer directly. Whether you choose to run or locate the file and double-click it from your Downloads folder, all you have to do is follow the prompts on the installer and click Enjoy Now to launch. If your camera is on and connected to your network, it will appear here. Notice that it shows up with the model number, IP address, TCP and HTTP ports, subnet mask, gateway, and MAC address. This E icon will launch it into your default browser. Please note that to log in through a web browser, you can use either Internet Explorer or Mozilla Firefox. Currently, we are developing a new version of our plugin that will be compatible with a Chrome browser. To keep an eye out for new firmware updates for the ProHD, please visit amcrest.com/firmware. Here is where you can follow the instructions to download new firmware fixes as they become available. So, clicking the E icon here will launch it into Internet Explorer for us. The default login information for this camera will be admin. If you've already changed this to something else, please make sure to enter it correctly before clicking Login. If this is your first time logging in, you'll be prompted to change your password before you can continue. Enter your new password, enter it again to confirm, then click OK. Once you go and use the IP config tool to log in again. By default, in this live view screen, your camera will be set to 1920 by 1080 resolution. This is the mainstream setting, and switching to substream drops the quality considerably so the feed can remain fluid even with low network speed. Notice a resolution of 640 by 480. Now, let's switch back to mainstream. Perhaps the most useful part of this web UI is the Help Center with the life ring icon. This can be accessed from any page. Notice how it provides a detailed breakdown of every single icon, function, and setting on the page. At any time, you can even navigate back to the main list and dive into any other page as well. It's a very good idea to become very familiar with everything inside of this Help Center. Next, let's take a look at the PTZ tab. This is where you can control your camera's movement and zooming capabilities. The arrows here are where you pan and tilt. With this drop-down, you can also change the panning and tilting speed. And here is where you can zoom.